Hi everyone, it's Margaret Manning here. Welcome to 60 and Me. Thanks so much for being here another day on this beautiful planet of ours. Wherever you are in the world, thank you for joining us. I know that we've got people now in 150 countries. We're all over the place, and I just feel very connected to all of you and so happy that I get the chance to talk to you like this and just share ideas and thoughts that are on my mind, and also you've told me are on yours. So hopefully the topics today will help just to sort of build a relationship with us even stronger than it is. And thank you for your comments, for your the way you engage with each other. It's just wonderful to see on all of our channels. 60andme.com website, on YouTube. We've got lots of people there now. We've got, of course, Twitter and Facebook. We still have a great community there. And also, we have a Patreon community. This is a smaller group of women who want a kind of more private, personal conversation, and they are able to give a small donation to 60 and Me to help us to do things to grow the business. And that's patreon.com/60 and Me. So we're all over the place, but I really value your time here on listening to and watching these videos, and always welcome your feedback. Now, my tea this morning is plain and simple. It is an Earl Grey. So that's my tea this morning, and hope you got something that you're feeling comfortable with as well. Our sponsor today, by the way, is International Living. This is a company that basically helps people to think about where they might like to retire abroad. And they've got people living in different countries all around the world who provide them with insights into the reality of living in these places. And then you can read that information in a global retirement index that they put together. So if you go up to internationalliving.com/60 and Me, you can they will send you a copy of this report. It's really useful, very, very useful. So the topic today, now I don't know if you're familiar with the word mantra. I've been meditating now for so many years that to me this word was quite understandable. But when Debbie Hensleigh, one of our bloggers, wrote about it, it occurred to me that you might not be aware the word mantra is basically a group of words. It could be one word. It could be a group of words that have the power to transform. That's the thing about a mantra. It has, in saying it, it gives you a power to transform or to rethink something about your life or about an issue that you might be thinking about. So Debbie tells us how she uses her mantras, and I'll tell you a little bit about mine too, but hers are more kind of life positioning mantras. When she says these things, they give her a perspective, a view of her life. So, for example, I actually have quotes that I really, really love, and every time I say them or I think about them, they become a mantra for me. They're like a thing that transforms my view of a situation. So, for example, when I used to work with Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, she said something to me that it stayed with me all my life, and my children got so used to hearing it when they were little, they were tired of it probably. But it was basically, people will often criticize in you the things that they fear most in themselves. That to me was one of the most profound statements ever that anyone made, and it was so true. Is that you'll often find people criticizing things in you that are a shortcoming in themselves, or that they have a fear of in their own lives. And whenever I've been confronted with a situation where I've felt criticized or hurt, I'll say, is that person really criticizing themselves? And it's given me a power to transform the situation. The other one that I use a lot is the quote by T.S. Eliot, which is, "We shall not cease from exploration, and at the end of our exploring, find ourselves back where we started, but know the place for the first time." And for me, that really struck a chord when when I feel like I'm back where I started in a situation, like I've been through all this effort and then I'm right back where I started. But that key word of, I know the place now for the first time. So those are my two mantras, but hers are a little bit more there's a sacred power to hers, and they're actually quite powerful. But the first one that Debbie says is her mantra for her in her 60s is, perfection is highly overrated. And I think that's a great one to remind yourself that it's okay to accept our flaws and our weaknesses and our, the things that we are not perfect, that perfection's highly overrated. It's not something we should try to strive for. And Brene Brown does a really great job with this, the author, about, about perfection and being vulnerable and having flaws. It's just so true. Rearrange your furniture, for example, Debbie says, as the best of your ability. Don't worry about the feng shui effect or whether it's the right Pantone color. Just do it and relax with it. Are you a perfectionist? I'm not so much of a perfectionist, but I do like things to be resolved. I like turning chaos into order. But anyway, that's the first one. The second one that she says is, her mantra is, I will not be controlled by other people's dysfunction. Yeah, there's going to be toxic people all around you who, some are very close, some could be in family. But there are people that you cannot let them control you. You have to let them be themselves. They may just do things that we disagree with, or they may even believe things that we disagree with. I mean, the political situation is certainly an example of that. And please, no any more comments on politics, please. But because it's just that exact point, is that there's no point in making a comment if you know someone disagrees with you. Just accept it. Embrace it. And she does a very funny quote here. I must read it. She says, 95% of families are dysfunctional and 5% are in denial. So basically everyone's dysfunctional. We're all flawed. And it's not anyone else's responsibility to make you happy. And it's not your responsibility to make them happy. That to me is pretty powerful. So she says, only use profanity when it is appropriate. And I think that's kind of a funny statement, but she is a word person. She's a writer. She likes to write. She likes to talk. And there's so many ways to use words in ways that are, sort of maybe sarcastic or cutting, or they get your point across without swearing. And the British, I think, are super good at this. They use the English language in such a clever way. I miss that sometimes because it's subtle, and it's a way of using language to get your points across, but not to be mean and not to be swearing and nasty. I must admit, I get lots of comments on YouTube from the world, because it's not filtered in the same way that Facebook, for example, is. And I sometimes get so disappointed and sad that people have such nasty words to use and there's other classy ways to say the same thing and still get their point across. But anyway, it is what it is. Another thing that she says, this is another mantra for Debbie, is honor each other's stories. People have stories, they have the way of seeing the world, and it may be different than yours, but honor them. Honor their stories, because that's what their whole construct of their life is around. Why challenge it? I mean, you may meet people in the middle of their life or even just very recently. They've got a whole backstory. You don't need to know all the details, but just honor that it happened. That they may not be as perfect as you would like them to be, but they are authentically being themselves. And that's very important. The last one that she talks about is change. And she's just saying, this is the mantra, change one thing at a time. And I think this is so powerful because we try to do everything like at once. I do this all the time. And it's like, okay, just do one thing at a time. One activity at a time. One decision at a time. If you're cleaning your house, one drawer at a time. And you'll find that it's just the way of the way your brain works. You can't really multitask very effectively. So if you do one thing at a time, you'll eventually get everything done, but it will be done fully, completely, and you will be at peace with it. There's a book, actually, I don't know if she mentioned this one, but I wrote it down to remind myself. It's called Atomic Habits. And it's a book by someone who talks about how we make changes in our lives by doing small changes one at a time. So his extreme is if you want to read a book and you just are having trouble sitting down and reading, just read one page at a time. And don't try to read 2 pages. Don't even tempted to read 2 pages. Just read one page at a time. It just trains you to do one thing not perfectly, but one thing fully at a time. I think these are really great ideas. I don't know whether you've got any that you'd like to share. Leave your comments in the section below. Tell us, what are your mantras? What are their quotes or phrases or words that in saying them, you are transformed? you actually transform yourself and you transform the relationship with other people. I think it's really, really important because otherwise you're going to be constantly, beating yourself up. And I guess this is the card that I was going to show you from my deck about this whole business of, embracing forgiveness, and let one thing at a time, deal with one thing at a time, forgive yourself for, not getting it right, and just be yourself, be authentically you. And make that maybe your mantra. Maybe actually the cards in this deck, this Aging Beautifully deck, they actually could become mantras in themselves. I hadn't even really thought about that until just this moment. So maybe that's another reason to check them out. Anyway, have a wonderful day, everybody. I hope that you find a mantra that transforms you today and share it with us in the comment section below. And I look forward to speaking with you and being with you all again really, really soon. Take very good care for now. Bye-bye.